welcome on in. It's another edition of the Aggie Coaches Show as we talk a little football with the new head coach of the Utah State Aggies. Normally we talk a little bit about the game before and looking ahead and all that other nonsense, but we're just going to get right into it.
Well, undefeated right now.
Undefeated.
So we're good.
Undefeated head coach of the Aggies.
I like the way that sounds. See how long that one lasts, huh?
Hey, so what have these last 4 days been like for you? Whirlwind?
Whirlwind, yeah. Just trying to get your feet on the ground. A lot going on. Dealing with trying to get with the players some before they get out of here for finals. A lot of them starting to head out here pretty quick. Obviously, media and the press conference today, and I think to some degree sorting through staff, and the first I don't know how many months. It's just a blur.
Yeah.
You look back a year from now and you think, what did we get accomplished? Did we get anything accomplished? So, but it's been good.
Do you rely on what you went through 7 years ago when you took the Arkansas State job and try to remember, okay, I handled it this way, maybe I'll do it a little differently this way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not quite as crazy right now. For me, it's coming in a little bit slower. It's no different than anything. You do stuff. But I think the one thing to learn is to slow down a little bit if you can. We got signing day coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Don't panic. Don't panic. We're not gonna win the first signing day. We're okay with that. We need to win the second one. We need to win the third one. But just slow down a little bit and be kind of deliberate about handling the things that have to be done. And the players are a big part of that right now. I got to make sure that those guys, before they leave, they kind of know what direction we're headed and can make some good decisions. Hopefully all of them are coming back, and that's kind of what we're anticipating.
I want to reset things a little bit, and I know I'm going to ask you some questions that you've already been asked earlier today, but why Logan? Why Utah State? What jumped out at you at this for this school?
I asked you a question. Why not? I mean, why not? There's just, I look back to the history here. Obviously, you and I know, you know that. Why not? Matt Wells, great friend of mine. Great friend of mine. He loved it here. His wife, Jen, and just listening to them talk about their time here, the way the community accepted them, and kind of just loved on them a little bit. He was successful. You could see what we do works in terms of the league. I spent 4 years at New Mexico. I know the league fairly well, and so the next step of that was who I was going to work for. Both Neil Brown and Matt Wells absolutely love working for John. I love coming up here and going snowboarding and skiing at Park City. We've been my family several times. Just a lot of things that I love about the place. It's like, man, why wouldn't I not want to be there?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a perfect time to do it in a perfect place. And so now, I told them today, now they're stuck with me.
You've gone through the interview process, but what's it like doing that through COVID? And I know there was still some face-to-face, but was it a little bit more stranger this year than maybe in other years past?
The interview process wasn't really that much different, to be truthful. We obviously kept our distance in a room, but you're not normally sitting right next to a guy you're interviewing with anyway. Maybe less people involved in the process from John's side of things. It was really just me, him, and then Glenn Sugiyama, who's part of the search firm, who actually was part of the search firm or led the search firm when I got hired at Arkansas State. Actually was familiar with him and know him really well. Maybe there would have been more people in the room otherwise, but beyond that, we got together, had a good solid, probably 3.5 hour kind of conversation, and that was the first step. But I thought it was a key first step in it too. Probably wouldn't have looked any different. We obviously didn't do it on Zoom, which was good.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we weren't interviewing on Zoom. I don't think that would have been very effective for anybody.
That's not fun, and we're ready to get past that, I'm sure. I wanted to go over and I was joking with you off the air. My wife's tired of watching Arkansas State games because I went back and I watched a lot of games and watched a lot of interviews. And I'm going to reference some of the things I saw. But one of the things that really stood out to me, you gave an interview back in 2013 when you were at North Carolina, and you used the phrase, play calling can be overrated. It's more about execution. It's more about talent. Talk me through that a little bit because I thought that was a really fascinating phrase. Well,
to some degree, you call the plays during the week in the meeting room. I mean, you're going to get in there with your staff. You're going to detail the film and dissect it, and analytics are going to tell you a lot about your opponent, and you're going to build a game plan. You're going to build a game plan based off things that, in your system that you feel like are going to be effective. And honestly, on game day, now there is an art to calling plays, and there are people that are really, really good. The key play at the right time, the shot play at the right time, when to run the ball. But really within the framework of what we're doing, it's about creating answers, reasonable answers for our quarterback, things that we think can be good against a lot of different looks.
Yeah.
and the repetition of us being really, really good at it, so that no matter how you defend it, we can still execute. And it comes down to truly the execution of it. And that comes through, again, repetition and practice. So I believe that there's a guy that does come up with that right call at the right time, and that comes from experience. But if we've done our job throughout the course of the week, I mean, anybody should be able to get us in good position during play calling during a particular game, I think.
I watched a lot of games from last season. You run a lot of RPO. Do you want to give your quarterback a lot of autonomy to be able to make those calls at the line and be able to make those decisions?
Yeah, we give him a lot of freedom. We do. So it takes a guy that understands what we're thinking. I want him to think like I do. I want him to think like the coordinator does. We want to give him, again, reasonable answers, not just one option, several options every snap, so that depending on how the defense plays, the ball could be pushed in several different positions during a game. We talk about balance. We don't mind the ball being spread out to everybody. And as you'll see, we'll spread the field from sideline to sideline. And that's part of the art in it, is that putting the defense in a pressure situation where they have to make some choices. They have to choose, do they want to spread out and cover you, or do they want to come to the box and defend you? And that lets the quarterback really it's the old Bull Durham, throw it where they ain't. I mean, you know, if they're not there, that's where the ball's going. They're not in the box, we're running. If they're not over the top, it's going over the top. If they're not out on the edge, we're putting it on the perimeter. It's kind of that thought process. Just be willing to take what they give you. Smart quarterback's going to be the guy that gets you in the right spots.
When you were obviously dealing with a whole lot of things in your life a couple of years ago, you gave up play calling duties in 2019. Do you anticipate taking that back, or is that still kind of up in the air?
You know, I don't anticipate taking it back. I anticipate being able to help my play caller, which is what I've done the last 2 years. I called plays for a long time. I love it. Absolutely love calling ball plays on Saturday. I feel like what I'm doing now, if I take over play calling duties, I'm not going to be as involved with the defense and special teams. I want to know everybody on our team. I want to be involved in that area. I think I can help my coordinator trick play, shot play, run the ball here on third down, run the clock. I think I can help him manage the game, but I don't feel like the need to call the plays. And if I do think you're going to take some time away from somewhere else. And I think especially here now, day one, I got to be involved in every aspect, know all those guys on defense and special teams. I think that's more important right now.
What do you consider your management style? I mean, it sounds like I don't anticipate you're a micromanager, but do you?
No, I don't. I like to tell guys what I expect of them and let them go do the job.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm going to coach coaches. I think it's my job. If I see something that I can help with, then I'm going to step in. But I would say I would not say micromanager. Say give them an organized plan on the front end, and then let them put their personality into it. I'm not going to tell my offensive coordinator, this is what you're running. I'm going to be a part of the process of building it, and I'm going to help him where I can. But I'm going to let those guys' personalities show. A lot of times you'll find somebody, man, has a unique gift for something that maybe I don't. So I try to be open-minded about that.
It was funny because when I was sending some text messages back and forth with Matt Wells, and I asked, you know, what are your thoughts? He goes, completely 100% organized, detail-oriented guy.
Yeah, I'm a little OCD, so my guys will tell you, you know, lines got to line up and cross your T's and dot your I's and all that. But I also learned as a coordinator, I did not want a head coach hovering over the top of me.
Yeah.
And Larry Fedora gave me tons of freedom. He never told me what to do. He said, just believe in what you do and let it be sound. Now, he would give me some ideas along the way, but even then, he said, if you choose not to run it, you don't run it. Just you're responsible for scoring points on Saturday. Luckily, we scored a lot of those. I try to treat my guys the same way. I try to help them through the week, use my experience to help them. And that may be a play. That may be a time of the game that I encourage them to do something, but it's not to stifle them and hover over the top. I want them to have freedom to really let their personalities show.
I took a look at 3 games last year, Georgia State, Kansas State, and App State, and I added up 3 reverse passes, 2 running back passes, 2 fake punts, and 2 onside kicks.
We play to win.
I love it.
We play to win. I feel like my job as a head coach is to try to steal 14 points from my team.
Interesting.
And so I'm always looking for trick plays that I can give to my coordinator. I'm always looking for some shot play scores. So, you know, that K-State game, that was one of those games that both trick plays I had, both of them hit. We got points off of both drives. The onside kicks were strategic, you know, based on, you know, App State, we knew they were really good. Kansas State, they had one of the best returners in the country back there. We didn't want to kick it to him, and we actually have recovered one of those 2. One in the App State game we didn't. But calculated, aggressive approach to the game. I don't want to be careless.
Yeah.
Calculated, aggressive approach to the game, and don't be afraid to go try to win the game. Don't play not to lose. Go play to win. And so, that's fourth down. That's special teams plays that maybe can create an explosive. Trick plays always keep defenses on their toes. A lot of people in the stands like to see those. They only like them when they work, though. Yeah. They only like the trick plays when they work. When they don't, I'm going to get a lot of bad text messages.
Do you ever do anything early in the season to kind of mess with teams because they know they got to prepare for it and take time out of their week to get ready for it?
I don't mind, being a little creative early. So people down the stretch like, man, you remember they did that in week 2? We don't want that to happen to us, kind of deal.
Love it. We'll continue on segment number 2. Remember, Craig Smith, basketball coach, will join us coming up at about 6:35 as we continue on here at Old Chicago with new head coach of the Utah State football team, Blake Anderson, on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Staker Parson Companies has built a preferred source for sand, rock, and landscape products, ready-mix concrete, asphalt, paving, and construction services in your community for over 65 years. From the parks you play in to the roads you drive on, you can count on the Staker Parson team to deliver quality products and projects safely, timely, and efficiently.
For more information or career opportunities, visit stakerparson.com.
Utah State Coaches Show. Blake Anderson, new head coach at Utah State. Again, floating around and reading some things about your career, though. I got to ask, not necessarily for me personally, but for your staff, is the snack cabinet coming into to Logan?
It's funny you say that because that's one of the first things that Ethan and some of the guys, Coach, you going to have that snack closet? Absolutely going to have that snack closet. And so it's kind of unique. I don't know, just something goofy that I do. I got to figure out where I'm going to shop for it, though.
Yeah.
So probably every other Monday morning, I would roll into Walmart, I don't know, early about 6:30 in the morning, and I would shop for the snack closet myself.
Yeah.
I would take it to the building. I'd honk and tell the young guys I need some help, and I would fill up the cabinet. There's nothing in there healthy at all.
I saw the video on it.
It's oatmeal, cream pies, it's honey buns, the whole works. It's just, number one, our GAs don't make enough money. So I give them a raise, one honey bun at a time. and then when the players come through, they'll come in and grab one. Well, they got to walk right by my desk to do it. And when they do, I'm going to set them down, say, hey, man, how things going? It's just a great opportunity for me to get to know those guys. My wife and I, when we talked about it, we spend it's out of our pocket. It was just kind of something we could give back to the guys that work really, really hard, that don't get enough pats on the back, and another way for me to get to know the kids.
Well, yeah, I love the fact you can do the walk of shame to go in there and get it.
You do, but here's the other thing, too. It's always curious, so they'll grab something like a granola bar.
Yeah.
But as they walk out, if you check, they probably got 2 honey buns in their back pocket. So you have to check, make sure where they're stashing it all.
There was in the video I was watching, there's a coach, I think he's at Duke now, with a great
Trooper Taylor,
detail on how to eat a honey bun.
He taught everybody how to eat a honey bun. He was the honey bun man. He would go through them in a heartbeat. Trooper and I played together in college at Baylor. been friends ever since, and he could not pass up a honey bun. No
Nice.
matter how much he'd eaten that day, honey bun's there, it's going down.
We talked about it earlier today on the Q&A, but I thought it was really fascinating looking at some of the stats. Last year, you throw for over 4,000 yards, and you think, okay, this is a really pass-heavy offense. You go back and look, there's some years you're rushing for 4,000 yards. It just, I guess it just depends on the athletes and the talent on your team.
It's what I love about our system is that it's so versatile. You know, if you're in a system that is you can only move it if the quarterback can throw, or you're in a system where you can only run, we've had versatility every year. And if you look through my track record all the way back to Middle Tennessee, you know, we've been able to adapt it to fit the personnel that we have. Now, we'd love to be balanced and do both. And when it works and you've got all the different weapons, you can run it and throw it equally well. But when you get bad weather, when you maybe have an injury, or you just have a quarterback maybe that hasn't quite developed yet, you have to have the versatility, and that's the thing I really like about our system, and we stick to it and believe in it, and it's been really, really successful for quite a while.
You mentioned coaching at New Mexico. You spent a few years there. You have familiarity with the league and Air Force and their funky style and what they do and other teams across the conference. How much does that help you in your transition here?
You know, teams change a good bit. I mean, obviously Air Force has been triple for a long time. Their offense coordinator is one of my closest friends, Mike Thiessen. So I've watched a good bit of tape. They do put their own twist on it. It's, you know, you see different versions of triple, and I think they do a great job. You know, I haven't been in this league for quite a while. I think I've had a good understanding of the footprint. I think I've got a good understanding of what the ball looks like. But when you go into each year, these teams are recruiting so well. The transfer portal is hot.
Yeah.
You get a great, like BYU had the quarterback this year. You know, got San Jose State right now this year playing really, really well. Harson's always got them at Boise. You don't know exactly where their strength is going to be. But I do know this, and it's one of the reasons I want to be. We can absolutely compete at a high level here. You've seen it done. You know the key pieces that you're going to have. I think the systems that we're going to run are going to attract those key pieces.
Yeah.
The key feature quarterback, the wideout that can run, the big running back that knows he's going to get it. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time we start putting those pieces in. And we may have some of those pieces already. It just hadn't been out there on the field with them yet.
Well, you look at, you know, Jordan Love, first-round pick. You know, you put linebackers. You know, you got Bobby Wagner, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. And you go into a kid's home and say, you want to play in the NFL at a high level, you can come here and we can get you there.
Yeah, no doubt. You can look at past history of guys that have come here and been successful. You can also look at my history as an offense coordinator, the coaches I'm bringing in on the both sides of the ball, and point to look at the success they had in the system.
Yeah.
So I think we're hitting it from both areas, and then you look at, I mean, this is a place you get to come live. This is a place you get to come play, and the community you're going to be a part of.
Talk a little bit about recruiting and what that process is like, especially you got early signing day, and I know you mentioned, hey, you know, be patient with us. You got the other day coming up in February, but what do you anticipate these next few months like, or not few months, but the next few weeks like for you?
Well, we obviously have some spots to fill. Now, how many we have and how many seniors are coming back, you know, the NCAA gave these guys another year to play, still sorting through that. Are all of them going to come back? That will affect how many guys we can take and how many guys we can't. We have the ability to recruit some guys in the summer as well. There's some spots that can be used in August, so we may kind of sit and wait and see how some of these Power 5 transfers look coming out of spring ball. A lot of it would help us to see what kind of team we got.
Yeah.
We go through the spring. So we're going to sign guys right now that we absolutely are certain fit our culture and what we need. And if we're not absolutely certain, we're going to wait and look for needs later on in the process. And I think that's something I learned my first year. We panicked on the first class. We took guys that didn't fit us, that we didn't know enough about, and it didn't, over the course of time, it just was a bad marriage. So I'm going to be a lot slower in that this first time and really prepare for the future of how we're going to recruit.
What do you look for in a recruit? What jumps out at you?
Well, the first thing to me is just the attitude of that guy. I mean, is he a heart? Does he love ball?
Yeah.
Is he a winner? Does he have that personality? You know he's going to fit because we're going to work extremely hard. And they all need to know, just me personally, they need to know, man, I'm a Christian first before anything else, that this is going to be a place where we do things right. I'm going to share my faith with them every day when I'm at work and just be that person. And some guys aren't comfortable in that. Some guys are. They can't be afraid of work. They're going to come play because we're going to run. You've seen the offense. We're going to run and run and run. So little things like that. The height and weight and the speed and all that, we're all looking for that. I'm looking for that thing that you can't see on paper, that thing you can't see on film. I think the older I've gotten, the more I've done it. I think that's the thing. When you find the guy that has that it factor, that dynamic to him that people gravitate towards, you put enough of those guys in a locker room and you find something really, really special.
Is that tough to identify in a high school kid, especially a toughness when chances are they're the best player on the team or one of the best players, so it comes kind of easy to them? Is that hard to identify?
It is. You have to work at that. Watching the film is a lot easier. I mean, timing a guy in a 40, watching a guy on film make a play, make a catch, make a tackle, that's really the easy part of the evaluation. The hard part is truly getting to know. Does he truly love ball? Is he going to be disciplined and accountable? When it gets tough, how's he going to respond? Is he going to be comfortable in our culture? How we're going to ask the level of accountability?
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to handle that? Those are the things that are really hard, and a lot of times you find the answer that you don't like. Great athlete, looks great on film, but he's not going to fit in your culture. Walking away from that guy and letting him go play for somebody else is really, really hard. That takes a lot of discipline to know he's not going to fit us.
You like multi-sport guys?
I do. I love guys that have run track, played basketball. Some of the wideouts we've had just recently there at Arkansas State. You mentioned Jay Adams, Omar Bayless that's now with the Carolina Panthers. Those are guys that, honestly, their tape in high school was good, but it didn't just jump off. But when you watch them practice basketball, play basketball, you're like, that guy's – and you see those same skills translate over to football.
Yeah.
You watch that Kansas State game, Jay Adams playing above the rim. He's basically dunking every ball that we throw to him, and that made him almost uncoverable. When
you look at your coaching staff, obviously you announced a few guys today, including Chucky Keaton. Let's start with Chucky. Obviously, Chucky's royalty here. Everybody loves him. But what was it about him in particular that you said, you know what, that's a guy I need to have on my staff? Personality,
the way he played the game. I had a chance to meet him earlier in his career when he was with Matt, and just something about he had that it factor. People gravitate to him. He was a great leader. And then luckily I've had a chance to kind of watch how he's done his first few years as a coach, and he's just knocking it out of the park. He was so excited to get to come home. Obviously, we're giving him an opportunity to get on the field in a full-time capacity where Matt, he was on a graduate assistant kind of quality control role, so it's a great move for him. But just coming back home, he loves this place.
Yeah.
When you talk to him on the phone, you sit down there and meet with him and talk to him, huge smile on his face thinking about coming back home. So I'm smart enough to see what this place meant to him and what he meant to it. And I think that's going to go a long way in the recruiting process for us over the next few years.
Is that part of the fun of being a head coach, is not just developing players, but developing coaches?
Yeah. I've got guys that have been on my staff that are coordinators around the country at the Power 5 level, guys that have been on my staff that are now head coaches at the at the Division I level. I mean, that's like your kids.
Yeah.
You guys that I brought with me now that were GAs that now are full-time. I love watching those guys grow, helping them develop, trying to, like I said, coach coaches. Somebody did that for me. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for people that poured into my career, poured into my life. And that's, I wouldn't be a coach if it weren't for those guys as a player. Try to do that as much as I can, and it's a lot of fun to see them go off and have success.
What's the schedule like? Find a home, get everybody settled in, all that stuff?
I don't need a home. I just need a bed to sleep in right now. We
go.
got work to do.
It's a nice couch in that office. I've seen that.
I hadn't hit it yet, but it's probably coming. Really right now, get through Wednesday and make sure that who we do sign, we actually know fit. Yeah. Obviously, some logistics of some guys that may or may not sign right now that we may sign later. That's always kind of a little bit of juggling act because of the numbers. It's a little unique this particular year. Finish off my staff over the course. I'd like to have everybody on the ground running when we start school in January. I think that's very doable. Get my strength staff here because day one, those guys. So that's really – I'd like to go see my mom during Christmas. I don't want her to be at home. This will be her first Christmas without my father, so I'd like to be there on Christmas Day. But a lot of phone calls to recruits, finishing off the staff, a lot of work remotely. But I'll probably be back here in town around January 4th or 5th, and it'll be a sprint at that point, and no time for a house. I just had to do that later.
I like it. Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Great getting to know you. We'll talk more, I'm sure, throughout the season. You're going to get sick of me during football season. But appreciate it. Craig Smith, the basketball coach, joins us next right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From humble beginnings in 1952, Staker Parson Materials and Construction has grown to become one of Utah's leading building materials businesses and the preferred source for quality sand, rock, landscape products, ready-mix concrete, asphalt, paving, and construction services. Being the preferred source means safely building projects with the highest quality. It means presenting the best opportunities for our employees and offering timely delivery and exceptional customer service every time. Being the preferred source also means supporting and building our communities and local economies. You see us every year at Peach Days and at other local events. We help your children learn about our industry with our Rocks Build Our World program. We've supplied the materials and built many of the streets in town and have donated concrete to your favorite recreational spots. We are Staker Parson Materials and Construction, and we are proud to be part of our community.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Aggie Coaches Show right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. And it is time to welcome in the head coach of the men's basketball team, celebrating a birthday today as well. Coach, happy birthday. Hopefully the family's spoiling you a bit.
Hey, Scotty. Thank you. Yeah, the family's been unbelievable. Actually, my wife, Darcy, Landon, our oldest son, and Lauren, our youngest of our 4 kids, actually had dinner for the first time in like, geez, I don't know, probably 3.5, 4 weeks. We try to do it. I mean, your lifestyle, our lifestyle can be a little tricky at times, but this whole COVID and us being gone for 6 days is kind of throwing a wrench in. So that was like the best birthday gift possible. My 2 middle boys are in basketball practice, so it would have been bedlam anyway if they were there.
Well,
it's been a great day. Thanks for all the well wishes to everybody with the texts and phone calls. It's been pretty awesome.
What was on the menu? What does a Craig Smith birthday dinner look like?
Well, you know, my wife was very kind. So I will say this. So before, and I think I told you this on one of the radio shows, I hadn't eaten at a restaurant or even gone through a drive-through since basically the late September, since we started practice. And so, you know, after COVID and going through that whole deal, and I was very fortunate, very, very mild symptoms. So I hadn't left my house, in the last 2 weeks or so. I think I left my house one time, maybe twice. I stepped out of the house. And once the day after the BYU game, I had to just drive around in my Jeep for like a little bit. But I didn't see anybody. But so today for lunch, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to, I probably shouldn't say this, but McDonald's. I just couldn't wait to have a Big Mac. I love Big Macs. And so it's really healthy. And but for dinner tonight, my wife knows I love this dish. It's like baked chicken with rice and then green beans on the side, and it was amazing. So just juicy, plump, tender. Oh, it's good stuff.
There you go. Nice. All right, so obviously, unfortunately, no game tomorrow against Dixie State. I know that was a difficult call to make, and according to the press release, you guys are working towards hopefully putting a game together later in the week. I don't know what details you can share on that, but kind of give us a state on how things are looking this week.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't our choice as a program. Sometimes your hands are tied with protocols and things that go with that, and everything that goes with it. So our program's been essentially shut down for a certain period of time. We hope to get back on the floor in the next day or two, and we hope to have a game by the end of the week. You know, whether it's Friday or Saturday. I think we're in a really good spot with the Division I school that's been very, very good over the last 4 or 5 years. Top 2, top 3 in their league. They got a very good player that's an NBA prospect, and I think that's going to happen. Our contract has been drawn up. Just got to get it signed by them, and it's a matter. I think it's a matter of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and crossing the T's. So I don't want to name names at this point, but I feel very confident we'll have a home game, hopefully on Friday. And so, you know, it won't give us a lot of time. It's just one of those years, right? We have 3 games in 3. You know, you practice for 6 weeks, 3 games in 3 days. Then we have 8 or 9 days off, play by BYU, play 2 games in 4 days. And now we probably want to have a practice for, you know, at a minimum 8 days. So that's just part of the deal. It's the hard part. Basketball is a rhythm and timing game, as we all know. And but it is what it is, and we need to get reps. We need game reps. We need reps, period. We need to gain experience and chemistry with one another. And so I know our guys are super excited to get back on there. Obviously, we've been doing some Zoom calls and whatnot. So I know they're itching to get back out on the floor. And then we have conference play. If we play Friday, then we have conference play 3 days after that, Monday, December 21st. And Wednesday, December 23rd against San Jose.
So do you and I don't know what you can or cannot ask guys to do, but do you try? I mean, can you allow these guys to get to a gym by themselves to get a workout in? How do you handle it when guys have to be away from the program for a bit?
Yeah, there's just all kinds of protocols. Certain guys can do certain things. And get in the gym and work out, you know, individually and get shots up and run and condition, and they can do things and get in the weight room. It's all obviously all voluntary, and we have a bunch of. I mean, that's a huge priority for us is recruiting guys that love to play and are gym rat type of guys. The guys that, you know, if you took basketball away from them, you know, they'd be miserable, quite frankly. And I think that's a really important attribute to look for when you're recruiting. So I know we have a lot of guys that have been in there doing whatever they can do. There's just certain stipulations with the protocols as to what we can do, you know, as a program. And so we're juggling a lot of pieces right now. But again, you know, we've been doing this for, close to 9 months now. So this is a little bit different from this respect. You know, I was talking to my wife today, and, you know, if we play Friday, that'll be 3 weeks since the last game I coached or was a part of, you know, and it's December 14th today. And it's just so bizarre and just kind of out there and something you never thought you'd say.
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be a weird feeling. I mean, you mentioned, you know, back in the day as an assistant, you'd miss a game or two here for recruiting, but missing games isn't something that normally is part of the Craig Smith DNA.
Well, yeah, we missed 2 games, of course, and then just the way the schedules worked out. So it's 3 weeks, which missed 2 games, but we've only played 2 games in 3 weeks. That's the other crazy part in the middle of December, you know. And certainly from my perspective, I haven't been in practice for 2 weeks, and our guys haven't been able to practice for 8 days, but. A lot of programs going through that, and like I said, you just got to deal with it the best we can. Hopefully we'll be able to get out there and play 3 games in 5 days, or 6 days or whatever it is, and hopefully gain some momentum going into Christmas break when we'll have another 8 days before we play.
Do you worry a little bit about your guys
I
having?
guess we'll be used to it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Having that kind of a layoff and then jamming 3 games in 6 days.
Not necessarily. No, I mean, hopefully we'll get 2 to 3 good practices before we play, and then a couple of other good ones before the next game. But these guys are they just got to get game experience, got to get in those kinds of situations. They always want to play games. I do feel like they've been getting reps, getting shots, still keeping their lungs going and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully, if it all goes right in terms of our players, and obviously this stuff can change so dramatically, but hopefully we can get everyone back and be ready to roll at the end of the week.
Well, of course, we're not quite sure who the game is later in the week, but we do know San Jose State coming up next week, so we'll talk a little bit more about the Spartans, what to expect as league play begins with kind of a funky setup, and we'll talk to Coach about that as well. As we continue on, you're listening to the Aggie Coaches Show live here from Old Chicago on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Staker Parson Companies has built a preferred source for sand, rock, and landscape products, ready-mix concrete, asphalt, paving, and construction services in your community for over 65 years. From the parks you play in to the roads you drive on, you can count on the Staker Parson team to deliver quality products and projects safely, timely, and efficiently.
For more information or career opportunities, visit stakerparson.com.
Welcome on back. You're listening to the Aggie Coaches Show with the birthday guy himself, Craig Smith, celebrating a birthday today, hanging out with family, and unfortunately has to hang out with me for one more segment here on the Coaches Show. But I appreciate you making some time out for us today here, Coach.
Oh, are you kidding me? This is, like I said, it's always a great day when you and I get to hang out. And lately I can't decide if I feel like Al Bundy or Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, so it's a great change of pace.
All right, so when you
just telling the truth.
exactly when you see that schedule get put together with the and we all understand, look, COVID is something we got to take really seriously and work around. But the 2 games in individual cities, obviously, it's great when teams come here to Logan, but sometimes you're going to have to go out on the road and spend a few days in the same city. What are your thoughts on this? You cool with the schedule?
Well, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So, we've been, as coaches, we were on various Zoom calls with the conference and sometimes just on our own, hashing this out. Do we play 18 games? Before all this happened, we were debating about playing 20 games anyway. And then, of course, we stayed with 18. And then just how do you do it? Do you play in a bubble? Do you play in a mini bubble? And try to get 10 games in over the course of, or whatever, 8 to 10 games in over the course of 20, 22 days, and then come back to campus. There's all kinds of things that were discussed. Do we have a bubble and play our season in a bubble, or a pod, I guess you could say? I'm not sure there's a way to make it a true bubble. And so at the end of the day, this is what a lot of leagues were doing. And so this is what we did, just to minimize travel, minimize being in airports, minimize being in hotels. Instead of having 10, if you played the 20-game schedule, instead of being on the road for 10 different games at 10 different times, and you times that by 2, because most of the time you're spending 2 nights, you're really cutting everything kind of in half, so to speak. And so it is what it is. There's no choice in it. I was an NEI and Division II coach for quite a while, so I understand. We used to always play Friday and Saturday, and then you go on the road the next weekend, Friday and Saturday, and then you have and a lot of times it becomes kind of like football, where it's a huge event. The basketball team's home for back-to-back games. Then you don't see them for 2 weeks, so there's like a big build-up to the weekend. And obviously, I'm not sure it'll be totally like that, just because of the limited crowds, if any crowd that you get. So it'll be different. I've seen some on Twitter over the last few days. I've seen, how different games have been. I think I forget who it was, but somebody beat somebody by 18, and then I think they lost the next night. And then there was another game, somebody beat somebody by 14 and beat them by 2 the next night. I think it's it's tough to get sweeps when you're playing back-to-back against teams that are relatively even. So you deal with what you got. It will be different, but that's just how it goes.
And again, just your opinion only here.
I think the other thing I was going to say, Scotty, is this season there's just going to be a lot of inequity. You know what I mean? Some teams are going to get really lucky. Some teams are going to get really unlucky with the scheduling, please. Who do you get at home? Who do you have to go on the road to? You're going to get really lucky. Maybe you might play somebody that is without their best player, whether it's contact tracing or what have you, and you're going to have nights where you don't have, 1 or 2 of your key guys. And so that's just how it is this year. There's just going to be a lot of different inequities that go on, and you just have to be ready for that.
Again, just your opinion on this, but in the future, would you like a 20-game conference schedule, knowing how difficult it is to schedule teams to come to Logan and some of the issues you have there?
I've really gone back and forth on that. Initially, I was about 18. I was all about 18. Then I kind of flipped to 20 because, that for last year's team, scheduling was just a disaster. I mean, we just couldn't get anyone to play us. And in an ideal world, I think 18 is best from this standpoint. It's already very difficult to get quality non-conference games. And, our first 2 years, if we don't win the conference tournament championship, we were in a perfect position to get an at-large. We definitely would have gotten an at-large 2 years ago. And I really believe we would have gotten an at-large last year, just with all the things that went on. And so by having 2 more games, it allows you more flexibility to be able to find those games. And we all know, like, hardly anyone will ever come to Logan. So, last year I think we led the country in neutral court victories. And is that ideal? Do we want to play all these neutral games? No, we want to play home and home. But it's hard to you can't just force it down people's throats. So, so I thought we had a really good schedule set up this year, playing Mississippi State. It would have been St. Mary's at home, of course, BYU at home, and we were supposed to play in the Myrtle Beach MPE, but all of that went out the door, obviously. So I know it sounds crazy, but just adding those 2 games gives you so much more flexibility, because now you're not playing college or conference games in December. And so I think it really helps setting up your schedule for putting your team in a position, if you do well, to gain or earn an at-large bid.
San Jose State, so you start that schedule. You've got back-to-back games against San Jose State here in Logan. And they've started out 1-2. They've got another game against Santa Clara coming up on Friday before they come here to Logan for those 2 games. Kind of what we've seen out of Coach Prelo in the past, high up-tempo team. They like to get up and down the court. But from your perspective, what have you seen when you look at this team? And maybe it might be a little early in the week for you to breaking down them on film, but what do you expect out of this squad?
Well, I actually watched them on Saturday, and so I watched. So I haven't seen last night's game yet, but I did watch their first 2 games on Saturday, and they returned a really talented. They returned their whole backcourt. Seneca Knight really went ballistic the second half of conference play last year, and was an all-conference guy. He had multiple games, 30 or more points. I think the game before we played him at home, he exploded. I don't remember the exact number, but he was mid-30s or higher at Colorado State. And then Richard Washington is really playing well. 6'5" lefty right now. He had 38 in the first game. He can fill it up. Both those guys can really put the ball in the hole from all 3 levels. They shoot the 3. They can drive it. Got good pull-up games. They get fouled. So they do a lot of different things for them. So they're very talented. You're right. They do like to get up and down the floor. They're athletic. We're going to have to really guard the ball and keep them out of transition that way. And then defensively, they just kind of throw the kitchen sink at you. They'll switch screens sometimes. They'll pressure and deny at times. Sometimes they sit back. They'll throw a lot of different things at you with screen and roll defense. And they have good size. So got to play with great pace. We've been pretty successful, although last year it was a difficult game at their place. But we got to be on point. And a lot of things right now is, of course, you got to be ready for your opponent, no doubt. But we just got to keep doing what we do and get better. And I thought we made some good strides from that tournament in South Dakota, and hopefully we can continue that.
I remember Jerry Sloan used to always have a comment where he'd be really nervous on All-Star break. And All-Star break back then was a lot shorter than it is now. But he used to always say, I was always nervous when these guys had come back into town because, you can lose your edge and get out of shape pretty quickly if you just sit on a couch for 3 or 4 days. Are you a little nervous about where this team's going to be at when you bring them back into town? Or, well, they're already in town, but when you bring them back into the gym and start working them out again?
Well, I mean, not only we talked about not coaching a game for 3 weeks, I haven't been at a practice in 2. So it's just like, I can't tell you the last 2 days. And, of course, you're having conversations with the guys over the phone, but it's just different. And, oh, man, I just cannot wait to get back in there. And, yeah, you know what? I think coaches are paid to be paranoid no matter what. And it seems like no matter what it is, you want to keep this under wraps and do that under. It's like, you know what? Like, you got to do your best. You got to trust your guys, of course, but understand who they are and what their strengths and weaknesses are on and off the floor. But like I said earlier, I think we got a hungry group that loves to play and loves to compete, and I fully expect us to hit the rubber's hitting the road tomorrow, whether they're ready or not. I know we'll be ready. So we're going to find out who's been taking care of business real quick.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. Have a happy birthday. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk later on in the week.
Hey, did you see Sammy's first shot?
You like that? That step back 3?
First shot he made? Oh, that was sweet, man. We were watching it live and recorded it and sent him sent him the clip with a little commentary. It was great. Well, it was fun to see.
Did you?
I can't wait to see him tonight.
Did you see his interview afterwards? they were asking him whether, hey, what kind of a moment was it for you? The big moment. And I'm like, oh, I know I've thrown a lot of those softballs to Sam. I know how this is going to end. He's like, what? It's the fourth quarter in a preseason game. It's a 3-point shot. I made it. What's the big deal? It's like, yep, there's Sam.
In classic Sam fashion, right?
Yep. Coach, you're the best. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Scotty. Go Aggies.
There you go, Craig Smith, head coach of the Utah State Aggies, right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Coach kind of teased it a little bit, but just know that there most likely will be a game. I'm not sure who or when. I would say Thursday or Friday would probably be a day that you'd may want to circle there here in the Spectrum. But again, the details on that will be coming out. And then next week, you've got Utah State taking on San Jose State. Hey, big thanks to everyone who helped us out here at Old Chicago. This was a fun night tonight, introducing a lot of people to the new head football coach, Blake Anderson. Remember, the players will now go home for Christmas. They'll come back on January 18th, and that's when things will really kick off with conditioning and weight training, getting ready for the upcoming season. And then, of course, the basketball game's coming up next week. Hey, it's coming fast and furious. And by the way, congratulations to the women's basketball team picking up a big win yesterday as well, I believe, against UTEP. So nice win for Coach Ard and her team. Things are rolling, folks. And, again, we'll keep it rolling right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Big thanks to Austin Horton back in studio. For Ajay Salveson, I'm Scott Gerard. This has been your Utah State Coaches Show from Learfield IMG College.